C10 Talk, episode 159. Interviews from SEMA. RTech Fabrication, Mr. Randall Robertson.
Randall is going to be designing a 65 6x6 50 series. Promise you it'll be badass.
Damn, son. When you're looking for classic Chevy or GMC truck parts, BrothersTrucks.com is your number one source for 1947 to 87 Chevy and GMC restoration parts. Head over to BrothersTrucks.com and order your free catalog today. Whether you're looking to replace your original steering, update those old brakes, or improve your suspension and handling, Classic Performance Products has got your classic truck covered. You can save 10% by using code C10TALK at checkout. 10%. ClassicPerform.com. Vintage Air. Their SureFit kits are the best value and the most completely engineered AC systems you can install in your truck. The choice is obvious. VintageAir.com. C10 Nation, are you looking to upgrade your power plant? Are you thinking about going with an LS or an LT-based motor? If you are, PSI Conversions is your go-to for your wiring harness needs. PSIconversions.com/C10 Talk.
Welcome to C10 Talk, your C10 Truck podcast. Here's your host, Ronnie Welch.
All right. What up, C10 Nation? Hope you guys are doing well out there. Christmas spirit, getting ready for the holiday, a little post-turkey day, and just getting all your shopping done and kicking butt, having fun. And it's good weather out here in the PHX, so it's kind of a little bit of show weather for us. Big news, huge news for us. OBS Talk now, I submitted it, and it's going to be a standalone show. So expect to see that in full effect in 2020. I don't know that we'll have as many shows or episodes, but it's on its own. So for the C10 Talk guys, you'll be able to jump over there. If you've been listening and I've been integrating them, you won't have to anymore. And that makes sense. Initially, when I did it, that wasn't something that I was thinking about doing, but I had guys reaching out to me saying, hey, we can't find it. OBS Talk, we're searching it. So now you'll be able to search it. I believe it is on Spotify, but it's not on iHeartRadio yet. You have to be, I think, like 3 months into it before they'll just jump and put you on iHeartRadio. So it should be on Spotify. I'll have to do a search on that, but Google Play and pretty much all the other ones, they do want to see that you're going to stick around before they just throw you onto some of the bigger stuff. What I will do is I think I have 4 or 5 episodes on OBS Talk that I will now recycle over to OBS Talk, and they'll be there. And then in 2020, I will just start consistently new. So if you're jumping over to OBS Talk and you're like, well, these are the same episodes that I've heard on C10 Talk, that is true. I'm going to backfill, and those will be sequential from essentially the intro show with Travis Delgarian from AZ Pro, and I'll sequence those accordingly. So those will be on their own. 5 years from now, somebody looks back, they won't know that, oh, that was episode 141 from C10 Talk, and they really won't care. So I'll straighten all that out. You guys just, if you're a fan and you want to listen to it, get over there, subscribe, like it, iTunes it, everything else, and that helps us, and we'll keep kicking butt. So pretty cool stuff. Another big, huge thing that I wanted to say thank you guys is I reached out and I said, hey, I really want to get the reviews for C10 Talk on iTunes up to 500. We were like at 464, and then was like 180 something, and then bam, you guys, I tell you what, huge. So thank you so much. We made it to 500. The other day I saw that, and now I think we're up to a little over 500. So thank you guys for taking the time to, give us a rate, give us a review. And I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you guys doing that, tuning in, listening, and supporting the pod. Huge deal. It's really cool to not only get that and see that, but I get so many rad ass comments where people are just kind of like, hey, we love what you do. You get me through my day, or you get me through my long drive. And I mean, just put yourself in the perspective of the other end, right? So I'm sitting here. I love doing this. I love interviewing the guests. I love talking to the community, and then people are saying, "Hey, we love what you do," and So it's a humbling thing. It's really cool, and I appreciate you guys, letting me know. So when I get the emails, I get the DMs, people reach out and they're just, hey, I love what you do. It's meaningful, and I don't take it for granted. So thank you guys so much for doing that. A couple other things I want to give shout out to the Truck Show podcast. Lightning and Holman over there, I saw where they just hit their 100th episode, and they're coming on strong. They're a kick-ass podcast. If you haven't had time to check them out, get over there. They cover the complete and total variety of truck stuff, and they're a Motor Trend podcast, so they've got tons of resources. Holman is, he is entrenched in that stuff, and then Lightning comes from like a radio background. It's very entertaining, and they do a great job, and I suggest you get over there if you haven't already. I do plan on having them on my show, C10 Talk, for 2020, so look for that one. Another announcement, Round 6 guys, they've kind of branched out, and so it's a Round 6 podcast. Check them out. They are going to do now some Prime video stuff. It looks like they've teamed up with Auto Revolution, who we've had Auto Rev on, and it's available on Amazon Prime, but it's going to be called Steel and Stories. So Steel in the letter N and then Story. So they're kind of doing some video stuff there. I saw Brad do his first interview with Ron Hernandez. I didn't see it all, but I did see part of it. So it might have been a little social media clip, but check that out. So Steel and Stories, Round 6 podcast, either one of those, check them out. I recommend them. Speaking of videos, I'm going to be putting out some of my SEMA videos, SEMA content, and then the Get Down stuff. So finally getting around to that. I've got a few interviews from SEMA. Namely, you're going to have Nick from Outcast. He had that 65 short bed dually, brown with a little bit of tan. That should be out as of this, by the time you hear this one. So Nick from Outcast Customs. One with Johnny and Kyle from Metalox and Johnny G's Garage. Those are some SEMA stuff. And then we were able to harvest, looks like, I think 3 or 4 from the Get Down. So either way, those will be coming out. Get on YouTube, subscribe, like our channel. It's just C10 Talk, and you'll get to see those videos. They're quick. I mean, I think the one with Nick and I is only about 5 minutes. So check that out. A few other guys I want to throw out there. If you're on YouTube and you're, looking for content, United by Trucks, that's a huge one in our scene. Very popular. Those guys do a great job. Very entertaining. Gives us a different perspective on kind of West Coast, East Coast. They're out of Georgia. So Robbie and the guys over there. Two Trucks Ron. I haven't checked it out as much as I want. I really want to dive in because I want to have them on the pod. That's my plan for 2020. I have the list together, and they're on the list. So United by Trucks, check them out, subscribe, and then obviously Grinder TV. Brian works really hard at doing what he's doing and entrenched in our scene. So Grinder TV, check that out as well. Speaking of Grinder, when I was doing a little 2-week trip, I went from NorCal to Texas and so on and so forth. I stopped by Brothers, AccuAir, Vintage Air, and Marquet. So those videos will as well be coming out. So we had the Brothers one's already been out. A quick little shop tour. The AccuAir one kind of just goes behind the scenes with Reno. You'll dig it. So it definitely shows you not only their facility, but just about the company, about where they came from, and the high level that they, instead of outsourcing, they're insourcing. They're taking care of things in-house. And Reno gives me the full tour, and you'll dig it. So that should be out here in the next week or two. The toy drive stuff has been kicking off. So last weekend, various different groups. I saw Mississippi, Georgia, obviously California, and Tennessee. So some good stuff going on there. This weekend, locally here, Arizona, AZ Pro is going to host their Cars and Coffee, Trucks and Coffee, and the AZ Club, C10 Club, meet up for theirs this weekend on the 14th. So if you're local here in Arizona, also up in NorCal, you've got the Provost Motorsports guys teamed up with Drop Lower and the C10 Club as well. That's December 14th from 10 to 2. Looks like that's going to be in Woodland, California. Let's get on Provost Motorsports on their social media, and you can check it out. 10 to 2. Tacos, DJ, a little bit of this, a little bit of that in the greater Sacramento area. So Woodland. So for Arizona, it's going to be out in Mesa, East Mesa, Queen Creek area at Pro Performance, and then NorCal, Sacramento area for those ones. Those are the two that I know are going on this weekend. So check them out. Oh, let's jump over to some reviews because we have been doing those, so that's kind of cool. Let me hit a couple of those real quick. So a few of the reviews, thank you guys again for doing this. Matco 5 stars, gives a little thumbs up there. Matco 01, starting listening just before SEMA with all the SEMA builds, and again, this is last year, so that shows you how far behind I am. But I keep reading them off, and we'll catch up. I don't want to skip anybody. Now I am all caught up. Got me back to work on my 79 Square that I started over 10 years ago. Good job, dude. My goal is to take it to Dino's Get Down in November, so that would have been this year. Skipping SEMA this year, I should be done very soon. Keep up the best podcast around. Big thanks to you for the motivation, Robert Gonzalez. Robert, I hope you made it to the Get Down 2019, because that's when that would have been. 5 stars, Matco 01. Thank you for doing that.
5 star, perfect. Thank you.
Bangin' show, 5 stars. Dick Jordan, love the show. Listen to it while I'm working. I am 1 hour into the Cisco Kids show. Keep it rocking.
5 star, perfect. Thank you.
All right. Definitely a time stamping or dating ourselves on some of these, but I just can't get them out fast enough. All right. A+. So that's ODB. Jason over at Our Lifestyle, the podcast. Make sure you check them out as well. Nonetheless, 5 stars from ODB. Ronnie, love the show. Homie, keep up the superb work. Your hustle is relentless. ODB out.
5 star, perfect. Thank you.
So Mike the Mayor and Jason do that podcast, Our Lifestyle, the podcast. Check it out. They get a great perspective, especially what goes on out there in the East Coast out of Florida. They're entrenched in it. Got a little mini trucking vibe. Just was listening to their SEMA kind of outtake episode that they did. I think Jason, I need to get back with him. I think he's like almost doing it full time because he's cranking them out. We used to kind of be, I was probably like, I don't know, maybe 10 to 20 shows ahead of them, and now I think they might even passed us. So they're cranking it out. So you've got so many different options to check out different things from podcasts. Obviously, just today we've talked about Our Lifestyle, the podcast. We've talked about the Truck Show podcast, Round 6 podcast. So a lot of options. So thank you guys for tuning into C10 Talk, because I know you got tons of options out there, and now OBS Talk. So there's no shortage of podcasts. Let's go with another one here real quick. Love the show, 5 stars by Green Go Cali. Good info. Boom. Short and sweet, to the point. There you go. Thanks, brother. Love the show, 5 stars, Green Go Cali.
5 star, perfect. Thank you.
Bam. Okay, wrap it up. One thing that sucks, and I just was going to mention it, and it is what it is. I mean, I don't think that anybody is shocked by this. I think I would say if I was shocked, it was by the amount of magazines that they did cut. Last week, it was kind of released that 10 Publishing, which is a huge publishing marketing company, they've bought, I think they even own the Inquirer, at least with their parent company or whatever. I think they are the parent company, to be honest with you, but they dropped 19 different magazines. So print is definitely dying. It's I would say it was a slow death, but when you drop 19 magazines, that's kind of extreme. So the ones that they're keeping out of their magazine selection, which, top level stuff here, but you've got Motor Trend, you've got Hot Rod, and you've got Four Wheeler that made the cut. Motor Trend, Hot Rod, and Four Wheeler will still be published magazines. The 19 that did not make the cut, I'll blow through this so you kind of get a perspective. Four Wheel and Off Road, which, I mean, if they've got Four Wheeler, so they've got, one there, but Four Wheel and Off Road, Automobile, Carcraft, Chevy High Performance, Classic Trucks, that sucks. Diesel Power, Hot Rod Deluxe, JP, which is a Jeep magazine. I used to love that magazine. Lowrider, Mopar Muscle, Muscle Car Review, Muscle Mustangs, and Fast Fords. Is there such a thing? I'm joking. Mustang Monthly, Street Rodder, always a fan of that one. Super Chevy, Super Street, Truck Trend, Truckin', sucks. I mean, Truckin', dude, who would have ever thought? And then Vet. So the ones that are, hit home for us, obviously, are going to be Truckin' and Classic Trucks. If you like a little off-road stuff, a little JP in there, and then some diesel stuff. And Truck Trend was always cool because it was really kind of right on the cusp of everything coming out. I think that's where Holman he's definitely entrenched in that scene. But again, it looks like Four Wheeler made the cut, Motor Trend, and Hot Rod Magazine. So print is it's tough, and social media, YouTube, podcasts. We're bringing you other forms of entertainment. It's just not sitting on the toilet reading that monthly magazine. I know I still subscribe, but thank God C10 Builder's Guide and Street Trucks is still alive. So I don't know how long. I don't know if that's something that's going to get cut. I know that they're definitely trying to push more things out to, online formatting, and that's the future. So sucks to end on that, but I'm going to take you out. Episode 159. Randall Robertson. I mean, the guy builds rad shit, builds trucks to do truck stuff. He builds big trucks, and he's a previous guest, episode 22. So check it out. All right, guys. You know how to get a hold of me, Ronnie at C10 Talk, Ronnie at C10 Talk. Please continue to do what you're doing out there. Keep grinding, keep building, keep supporting, one another and each other, and making this community the greatest community that it is. It really is an amazing community. Again, thank you for taking the time to leave us a review. Check out our YouTube channel. We got some cool interviews coming up, and have a great week. All right, guys. Late. All right. Friday, SEMA, what's left of my voice, C10 Talk. No stranger to C10 Talk, Mr. RTech Randall Robertson. Super stoked to grab him from this busy schedule he has from debuting Rad Ass Builds. RTech, Randall, thank you for stopping by and hanging out with us in the MagnaFlow Podcast booth.
It's a pleasure, Ronnie. Good morning.
Appreciate you coming by. I'll never forget a little history, just picking up that phone one time. I literally can remember being on Ellsworth Road and leaving Porterville. And I think at that point I had called you, had called me, and we started talking. And it was one of those things where I'm like, hey, I want to put you on this radio show thing. And you're like, I have no idea what the hell that is, but let's do it. And from there, we did some, you came out to the house. We did some, Run to Brothers. And it does seem like that was just yesterday, but also so long ago.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. A lot has happened for you.
Well, that's about 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, at least 4. And, I think you were episode 22, if I remember. That's my favorite number. So I remember that you were 22.
Yeah, I got a tattoo. 22.
Yeah.
C10 22.
I bet you do. I was one of his first. I was in the first year. So that was that was like 4 years ago. You had just built. Obviously, Cowboy was your first, and then I think Sarge was second, getting built. And that's where you really kind of started things off. You were at Spokane at the time in the general area. Yeah. You've moved. You've built the Ponderosa. You've built the Duke. You've built the K50 Blazer. Who knows how many other countless ones that we've seen, the renderings. I know the Dino is one of them that's kind of out there. How are things going SEMA 2019 for you guys?
It's going really well.
Good.
It's always a lot to take in. It's a very, very big event. It's been a pleasure to have 2 of our builds here. A lot of positive feedback, by and large. It's just really neat to see like the Ponderosas out front.
Yeah.
South Hall. Everybody sees it, and I'd say that one of the things that I really love about being at car shows and at SEMA is I stand back and I try not to let them know that I'm the owner, or I'm the builder. And I love watching the approving, shaking grin that they walk up to the truck with. And I mean, they're, of course, they walk up taking pictures and all that, but, they just go around it and they start looking at it, and it just, I think they can really appreciate that we've kept it looking like GM could have made that, and that's one of my biggest pleasures is people thinking, did they make this?
Yeah.
I just love that.
You ever had one where and another thing that you're so inconspicuous because you do look somewhat homeless, so they don't assume that you're probably the builder. Yeah. Do you ever have somebody? Have you ever been there where somebody is telling another guy or person, no, they built this, and then another person's like, no, they didn't. Oh, yes, man. They did, and that to me would be hilarious to sit back and watch. And just kind of be like, see where that goes,
It is, and if I could get a recording of every conversation like that and put it together, it's really, it's quite entertaining because I've actually seen people get in arguments, about, my granddad had one of these. I remember going to the dealer and picking it up. It's just, it's like, okay, sure.
I was talking to a guy yesterday, and there's a Tri-5 crew cab here. It's a white one. I think it's in the back parking lot.
Gorgeous.
Somebody said the same thing, and this is a truck guy. He said, oh no, that's an original crew cab. And I said, hold on, is it an original crew cab that was coach worked out by GM because GM didn't make those? And he's like, no, I think it's original. I go, again, it depends. And we're so far removed now, 50 plus years from that, 70 years, that was considered a GM build if it was coach worked out, right? So if a construction company, a forestry company, a railroad company would buy those, and they would say, I want an order, and I think they would only allow certain companies, the forestry companies, to purchase those, and you probably have a lot more knowledge on it. And then GM would send those to, back then there was 3 companies, I think, and those companies would break down trucks, build new crew cab trucks from there. Is that?
Yeah. So you would, and it would be, you couldn't as an individual.
Yeah.
Really go in and order one.
So Ronnie's Railroad comes into GM and says, I want 100 crew cab trucks.
That's how you got it.
Okay. And then GM says, okay, you're going to have to almost buy 200 trucks. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to send it over to RTech Fab. RTech Fab is going to make you 100 crew cab work trucks for the forestry or the railroad or whoever it was back then.
Yeah. That's pretty much the way it did go. And really, after a while, there was more of a demand, so there was more than one company that did it. But yeah, they definitely farmed it out. There's only a few times that I can think of that GM actually did the modifications to their original, production line, and that would be one of them. Because I used to build these things. Is the COE, the 48 to 53.
Mm-hmm. So they had a crew cab that GM built?
No, it wasn't a crew cab, but the COE itself was a modified conventional truck.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, okay.
But they would roll in with a crate bolted to the back on the frame, and then they would go in and they would make the alterations to it. So, and as much as I have done the research, that's what I've actually seen, I've actually have literature showing what it looks like when it went in to get modified.
Cool.
So, yeah. But as far as the crew cab goes, yeah, I don't know why GM didn't tool up to do it. I just don't understand it. But, finally, in 73, they figured it out.
But I talked to Paul Hitch, and he's the older gentleman that I've interviewed a few times about it, and he has a fuzzy memory on it, but it all just came down to that general tooling and the cost and obviously the demand. Because, what makes you famous is primarily the 67 to 72. That's kind of what has probably put RTech on the map. Once you became on the map, then you've ventured out to doing a lot more stuff, being creative and letting your creative juices flow. For the audience, the ugliest crew cab in the free world is a 6772 GM converted crew cab. They're so ugly that sometimes people might kind of think they're cool, but they're not. Especially when you look
only your mama could love you.
Only your mama. Especially if you look at some of these guys, and like you said, back then they were in demand, so there was 2 to 3 companies that were doing it, and we have a general 2 to 3 companies that people think about when they want to modify their crew cab. Brandon Sisko's a guy who did it. You obviously, and I hope I'm getting this right, but Travis CTP, if you haven't seen it, I thought he wanted you to see it because he made his the night train, the C50, the one that's out in the AccuAir booth that's on the ground with the Ferrari on the back. So
it's CT Concepts.
Yeah, CTP Concepts.
Yeah,
Travis Pruis.
Yeah, but we actually share a best friend. So
what's his name?
Derek Miller.
Oh, I don't. I was. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Derek. You're no longer inconspicuous. Yeah.
You are now the meat of the Randall CTP sandwich.
It's really funny at the Brothers Truck Show. Him and a gentleman that built a burgundy C50 pickup truck. I know you know it.
Oh, you're talking the Miller guy?
I don't know.
No, CTP didn't do another C50.
No.
Oh,
another gentleman.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know which one
burgundy
it is.
One.
Yeah,
it's really sharp.
Yeah, sure.
Well, and we've got the Duke there along with the Ponderosa. And after the show, I didn't have time during the show to go over and say, hey, guys, one of the things that I don't get to do much is I am incredibly busy juggling my business and making sure everything's working out right. But when I do get on social media, I follow certain people.
Sure.
And, now the both of those builds, the crew cab, which Brandon helped him with that, and that was really great.
100%.
Yeah. So, in fact, when I did the 6-door that we're building, I actually saw something that Brandon and him had done on the back of their crew cab, and I wanted to do it on mine, on the 6-door. Yeah, and see, the guy that owns the 6-door is really tall. Normally, we would never do a crew cab that has the suburban profile.
Okay, yeah.
But this guy is really super tall, and so not only do we need a higher roof, but we may even actually have to sink the floor in a little bit where he's sitting.
Wow, he's big.
But anyway, so since I went with that, and the Suburban's got a body line that goes 2 inches above the drip rail, and it kind of it turns and comes down on the back door. Well, I liked what they did. I loved what they did. And, so I called them up and said, hey, would you mind if I stole that idea and put it on my 6-door? And, he was very, sure.
Yeah,
great.
Well, borrowed is a better term, but yeah.
Yeah, well.
Stealing, but. People get sensitive in the truck world.
I'm actually really, really careful about, there's been a couple incidences where people have accused me of stealing their ideas, and, and I hate that. So, when I design something and, and it's mine, it's mine. If I'm going to design something or design it into something I'm doing, I'm really careful about making sure that it's okay. I would rather them say yeah or no than have them say down the road after I've done this, you stole my idea.
Yeah.
So being
up front, right?
Yeah.
Being up front and going after it. But you have a business to run too. So some of these ideas, I think, it's what makes everything better. I laugh sometimes when you think about the commerce world that we live in, from Burger King to McDonald's to Target and Walmart. If Walmart does it and they can't keep the shelves stocked, then Target's going to do it.
Sure.
If you can be professional about it and we can, get along, it's like, hey, these are GM trucks, Chevrolet trucks. Let's just all kind of work together. And the cool thing about that is, and I see this a lot in the suspension world, is a lot of times the suspension guys don't really get along with one another. and the funny thing is I'm just like, but you guys are all 8 to 12 months backed up. So there must be a shit ton of work that you guys still need. So you still couldn't even get all the work done that you would want to get done.
Yeah.
Because you can barely get done what you are getting done. You know what I mean? So, well, let's just jump into the K50, because I don't want to go down a friggin' rabbit hole on that. Right. I really want, because you have so many killer builds. The Ponderosa, one of the things about the Ponderosa and the K50, the thing about it is you get ready to debut it, and then you just freaking do the burnout, right? So social media, if you haven't seen it, Randall is Randall. He's in this huge warehouse, and he just revs up the Ponderosa. Now, the Ponderosa, for you guys, if you don't know, please check out RTech Fab, social media. It's actually RTech Fabrication, right? So then RTech Fabrication, again, creators of some amazing, we build trucks to do truck stuff, 4-door, dually, 1966 style crew cab, 4-door, and he just roaches this thing. He freaking goes to do a
that
burnout.
Was actually the third set, because we were doing a video and a photo shoot for American Force Wheels, and they said, hey, we'd like to get you into this building here and like to do a photo shoot. And I went over and looked in there, and I'm going, oh man, that is a perfect place for. I said, hey, would you mind if would you like me to do some donuts? And they go, would you do that? I go, hell yes. So, and this is the first time I've ever done this in this truck. And I will tell you that truck has a great deal of torque. Okay.
I think we saw that.
Yeah. So, you're
going to find the weak link real quick.
Oh, that's the way to do it, too.
Yeah, you did it.
So I go in there and I did one set. It was great. And then I did another set. It was great. And then they said, okay, let's get one more. We're going to do another style of filming. And this was with a guy on a skateboard. That thing was cool. It's electric. But anyway, I get that thing going, and now there's a little bit of rubber on the floor, and the tires are hot. Okay? Oh, yeah. So all 4 of those Nitto grapplers.
Sticky.
Oh, my God. So as soon as I came out of that second donut and it straightened out and that locker kicked in, it snapped. And, I mean, let me tell you how badly it snapped. not only
we could hear it.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
And then you showed pictures.
Oh, it literally destroyed the housing. We couldn't even use the housing. And the housing is custom to facilitate my shock setup as well as a couple other things. So, but other than the fact that it wasn't supposed to have to go back up to the shop, we keep our stuff here in Vegas in the wintertime. And something new news, we're actually going to start basing where we go to shows and show our stuff. They're going to be based here. So I fly down, we load all the stuff up, and we go to Texas or to Colorado or to Vegas or whatever it is.
Well, and so much is going on. I think we even talked about that because you were going to move at Phoenix one time, and it's like, hey, Vegas, and then boom, you look at the distribution for RTech, because Texas has got to be one of, if not your busiest state, California, obviously, and the shows. C10 Nation, are you thinking about upgrading that motor? Well, PSI is your go-to source for LSX conversion wiring harnesses. They have been in the LS conversion business for 10 years, or I like to say, C10 years. They specialize in standalone wiring harness for GM Gen 2, 3, 4, 5, LS and LT-based engines and transmissions. Aside from harnesses, they offer components and kits for retrofitting older vehicles, PCM programming, fuel systems, engine sensors, replacement GM pigtails, and so much more. All harnesses are made with pride in the USA. In-house full-time technical support to help you with all of your installation questions, after-sales customer support, and a 4-wire hookup to make the installation process as easy as possible. For our listeners, go to psiconversions.com/C10Talk. psiconversion.com/C10Talk. Use coupon code C10Talk and you will get a free shirt and free shipping on orders over $250. Free shipping and a free t-shirt. So if you're going to switch out that motor and upgrade to an LS-based motor, you're ready to go with PSI. Hey guys, I've got Kathy White, Classic Performance Products, CPP on the line. Kathy, how's it going?
Hey Ronnie, what's up?
What's up? What's new?
We've got a ton of things for the C10 community. First things first, our 2.5-inch Extreme X10 drop spindle. So we've upgraded the current modular spindle to modern technology. This new X10 spindle is a one-piece forged, but it utilizes strong, modern, bolt-in, internally sealed bearing hub assembly. So it's low maintenance. It doesn't move the wheels out, and you can use big brakes from us or any aftermarket big brakes out there in the market.
That's awesome. What else is new?
So we have actually gone back and redesigned our aluminum fuel tanks. As you know, our fuel tanks are the thickest, strongest, and largest capacity in the industry. But now you can actually use the same tank for either a carbureted or a fuel injection application. 63 to 72, it's 20 gallons, and for 73 and newer, 22-gallon capacity.
How about that coilover kit? You guys must be killing it with that thing.
That is such a great kit. It's fully bolt-on. It's easy to install. Strongest tubular arms in the market, available with either upper and lower or just the lowers or just a coilover kit by themselves. All the mounting brackets that you need, and it also comes with dual adjustable coilover shocks. So it's really responsive. It's up to you however you want to tune the compression or the rebound. It's perfect if you're just cruising on the streets, and it's proven on the track.
Well, that's what we like. So if you need spindles, the new X10, fuel tanks, coilovers, they've got it. Classic Performance Products, CPP. And don't forget, use code C10Talk, C10Talk at checkout and save 10%. Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you, Ronnie.
Texas. Let's talk about Texas for a minute. You know, it's really sad. I love Texas, and there's such a great truck market there. And, you know, we've only been to the Good Guys show there with the Duke. We get invited all the time to go to the Throwdown and, you know, other events there, and it's just too far away to tow. I could fly down there, or, you know, we're getting to a point where we're getting a tractor trailer. We just have to now.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to hire somebody to travel with the trucks, and I fly in, and, you know, we're just at that point. So it was just too far for me to drive, and it was too difficult to drive. You know?
Well, and from a marketing perspective, people see your stuff on social media. I know you had said you hired a new marketing firm.
Yeah.
And when people see it, just like we led in with this conversation, the oohs, the ahs, the holy shits, the the damn sons, that's what you got to have. You got to have the Duke sitting there. You got to have the Ponderosa. You got to have those trucks out there, and there's no better marketing than that for you guys.
Yeah,
Now, don't forget about blowing up Ponderosa. I still want to hear because that's a good lesson. Because when you did it on the third time, you found a weak link, and you were I know you were cussing, you were mad, you were frustrated that you did it a third time. I'm assuming, right? I'm pretty sure. But you found it's cool to find now what you probably made even 10 times better, more beefier. And when we have bad shit happen, we fix it and we make it better.
Yeah. Well, we you always learn by your mistakes unless you're an idiot. So I think one of the things, now we did not go back and put a corporate 14 bolt in it, but we will be because of the timeline. See, I wasn't supposed to have to take that back to the shop. My next trip was going to be bringing the Blazer down. So we had to take that all the way back to the shop, get it fixed, and get it back down here. And all this time, I'm on a SEMA. The SEMA crunch thing is not my way, and I refuse to ever do it again. We pulled it off, and there was no compromise anywhere on the Blazer. But I got to tell you, essentially, for 2 months, almost 2 months, I had every employee I had working on that. Nothing else got done, And I mean, we've talked to the customers that had to wait, and it was, they understood, but it's not something that you like to do. But anyway, so under that stress, I still had to get that truck fixed and get it back down here, and then deal with. And I had already just got the Duke down here. We had to, we just put that 1,000 horsepower compound turbo new suspension. We've gone to 4-link on all of a front 4-link suspensions on all of our 50 series, and now everybody's wanting them on everything else we do.
Yeah.
So
you made it better, and now they want it better.
Oh, yeah, and it's truly a 50 series 4-link. It's just
well,
huge.
And I saw the rear of the K50.
Yeah.
All of that is just built up so beefy, and there is such a cool lineage when you think about going from the Cowboy and going to the Sarge, which was your first C50.
Yeah.
And then what you've been able to do to this point, and just as you go, each one gets bigger, better, and more rad ass.
Yeah, and the evolution of our vehicles, or our trucks, what an improvement over the first one, and it should be. I remember the first couple years, I called this the stage one, and then the next one was a couple crew cabs later, that was to stage 2, and we're just continuing to improve on it. We're at a point now where our cabs, and let's face it, well, the cabs are the most important part of the build in the sense that, and we build daily drivers. Now, a daily driver is not like a show truck. It needs to be something that can go everywhere, do everything, and still function properly. And it's always going to come down to the doors. So, over the years, I've learned that I've designed the best way to make that happen. And something that I never thought I would do, but I'm really excited about it. And we're backtracking. The trucks that are still they're done or in the process of being the metal fab on the cab.
In the production right now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have over 40 trucks being built right now.
Wow.
Yeah. And
those are all customer purchases.
Yeah. We can get into that for a second. There's something there. But anyway, we've gone to the easy latch. Delmo.
The torque.
Yeah. Yes, but we went straight to the manufacturer and said, listen, I don't want to buy your kit. Yeah. I don't need all that stuff. We're going to fab it into our doors and make it.
Because you're making the door anyway, especially that new 4-door.
Yeah.
That 4th door.
Yeah. So, so we're going to the easy latch, and, I got to tell you, I don't think it's any surprise that I can pretty much fabricate anything. And it's just the old design on the latching, especially for a crew cab, it's just way obsolete, and it doesn't work well. I don't care how good you are. You're never going to get a 4-door crew cab to latch smoothly because of the kind of latch it is. And going all the way back to the 66, the Ponderosa, mine, it's too late. But the other one that we have right behind it is getting the easy latch. And I'm saying easy latch because everybody's going to know what that is. It's essentially a square body latching system.
Well, and the thing about it is it's the torque, right? Is it TORQ?
I don't know.
So they have it out. You can buy it, but then what it is it's essentially you do have a jig. You have to cut it and you put it on. It is so smooth. I helped Kyle and Johnny do it on the Money Shot truck. The at that point you're going from a bolt-on perspective over the top. Dell did one. He did a kind of a little infomercial where he did a little bit of.
That was funny.
You're doing on the inside because you have that ability because you're making the doors anyways. So.
Well, I'm making the door and the B-pillar, so,
So make it better. And, like you said, some of that older technology is obsolete.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I kind of remember talking to you about this. Hey, Randall, if I want to buy a cab, how much? And I think you're like, it's about 15 to 20K just for the cab. I think at the time that was doors. Obviously, it had to probably be the back doors. Is that still around? What would a cab cost if a guy just wanted to buy a cab?
Okay.
And then are you making, some of this is whether it's trade secret or not. I know at one point you were buying a lot of Suburbans, and then I remember you making a transition of, hey, Ronnie, I really don't need the Suburbans anymore. I just make all that stuff myself.
Yeah.
So 2 questions on that one.
Sure. Well, let's start with, pricing because, boy, that's really changed quite a bit. When I first started out, you remember this started as a hobby. Okay.
Yeah, I wish I would have bought one of those cabs back then.
Yeah.
I got a feeling
actually,
a little more.
Yeah. So we don't make first off, that was our standard crew cab. We don't make it anymore. We only make the Texas Longhorn in the 67 to 72.
Because it
just makes more sense.
Why not have the room? You're already modifying everything.
Everybody wants a newer interior, and so that cab, we don't sell just cabs anymore.
Okay.
It got to a point where it was interfering with getting full builds done, and it wasn't feasible.
Mm-hmm.
So, but just to price it out, so now our Texas Longhorn, which the first one I did, I said $25,000, and we could build it for $25,000 and me actually be profitable.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot of time to go the extra miles that you have to do to make everything gaps.
But the first 5 are always going to be the most, right? Because you're figuring everything out.
Yeah.
Then you start making templates, and then you whether you bring your price down or price goes up.
No, it went up.
How much? Just so the audience knows, how much from a normal cab are you giving with the Texas Longhorn? 12 inches, 8 inches. How much longer is that?
Okay.
Cab?
It's 7.5 inches longer. Well, let me put it this way: we use the front door panel on for a back door panel. We just modify it. Okay. So it's essentially the same as a front door.
Yeah.
It isn't a front door, but
which is funny because that's what we just got done making fun of, especially me, with the old school crew cabs that GM did. Now the problem is they used the whole door, including the A post, and so you had like a double A post, and I'll post something up when I drop this episode how funny and how fugly those were.
Boy, they sure were.
Yeah.
I can appreciate what they were trying to do, but they really didn't go any further than just hacking it together. I mean, that's really what it is. If you ever really saw one of those in its original form, the way it was built, it's hideous, but anyway, so our pricing has changed quite a bit, and it's not because we can get more for them. It isn't that. It's we have to get more for them. It costs so much to do a great job, and I don't really want to do anything different. Now, we run into problems.
But you don't have to. You have 40 builds waiting.
Yeah, and
so
we actually have more coming. And, I would rather do it right. And it hasn't always been that way. We've made our mistakes, and unfortunately, you learn by them.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect. I can assure you that. Well, maybe Ken Diggett. I like him.
He's pretty rad.
Man, guy's awesome. I don't have many people that I really look up to in the industry, as somebody that I can appreciate. I think he's an incredibly genuine, highly skilled person, and actually I try to model my way of doing things, try to parallel it with him because I like the way he does things.
Well, that's cool to hear because, there's probably people doing the same thing for you. So it's good. It's kind of a humanity thing or a thing, not humanity. What the hell? There's a term. It just shows that you are saying, hey, I also look up to people. I need people to have role models to drive me for me to be better. And that's what you're doing. You're saying, hey, listen, I'm not the best. I make mistakes. I think, though, one thing that you said was, well, we are always trying to do the very best we can. Even though you are still trying to do that, people still make mistakes. You just learn from them. And like you said, if you don't learn from your mistakes, then we've got a problem.
Yeah, I recently had somebody make a comment on social media, and I don't know that they realized that they were trying to tear me down, but they were actually giving me a compliment. They were saying that we use a ton of zero rust, and we do, and we use fiber fill. Well, yeah, we do. We don't use regular. The way most people build a vehicle, they're usually building one, and they're building it to be a good-looking truck. Okay, we're doing things totally backwards. We're actually building a truck that can be used every day and that will not rust away or break away, for 40, 50 years. The way I feel about it is, if the truck, the way it was made 50 years ago, made it this long, it had its problems. If we can actually keep it from rusting, that's the number one problem these trucks ever had. It rusted.
Yeah.
Now, some of their gaps were pretty hideous, on a mass-produced vehicle. But, so what I did is I went in and, hey, listen, anybody out there that says that they're not using filler, they're lying to you, or it's an exotic car that cost a couple $1 million. And, okay, I get that. But, I'm building trucks that can be used, abused, and still survive it for not 10, 20, but 40 or 50 years. So we use a lot of zero rust on our frames, on the floorboards, on the underneath of the floor, everywhere I can get it, because in spite of the fact our trucks show really well, that's only a minute part of what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build a truck that really truly can be used to do truck things.
Well, again, you can do whatever you want. You can put Krylon on there. It doesn't matter. You have 40 builds in the waiting, and whoever's saying that probably doesn't. And that's really what it comes down to. Yeah. I think a lot of these, it'd be funny to say, well, what is GM putting right now? I mean, if you go look at a 2019, 2020, you're absolutely right. I mean, Ford went to aluminum bodies, for a reason. It's all based on rust. So you are seeing the down and dirty, and you are also making it's like a semi-production, process,
I am
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
when you get as many builds going on, and they're by and large the same platform. The 50 series crew cab and the standard, C 10, 20, 30, or K, the platform's pretty much the same. So, we do try to standardize that part, and once you get into the 50 series, once we're past the sheet metal part, the paint work, the body work, well, there's a lot of things that when we build our caps, I can tell you that when we do our gaps, we make sure that we compensate for the amount of material, mils of primer, paint, and everything else you can think of, so that we don't have, the gap doesn't change to the point where it's no longer, doable. But trying to maintain even gaps everywhere on a truck anyway is difficult. Not unless you're building a show truck.
Well, and that's evident by saying, I mean, I can tell you right now, a 1973 truck called Yellowstone has really funny, nasty gaps. It's a crew cab. It's the first year that, if anybody wants to see the washers on the back door on Yellowstone, I'll be happy to show you. And shit still doesn't barely close, and that's just how those old crew cabs were. So you're making these crew cabs, and so then you got to gap it, and then you got to paint it, you got to rust ease it, you got to do all this stuff, and then you got to re-gap it. So, I mean, the process, again, it's a semi-production. One thing, I do see sometimes you get fired up on social media. I like watching your social media, especially because I'm in a sea of C10s, and so I get to see a little sea of K10s, K20s, C50s, K50s, things like that. Don't let the haters let them fuel you. Don't let them piss you off.
I'm working on that one. That's
not worth your time.
I will tell you that one of the most important things to me is my integrity, and I think I'm a normal guy in the sense that you start poking at me. I got pretty thick skin, but sometimes it's just like
you need a social media person to act like RTech, and then just let's have Drew Ann run that.
We've tried
that.
Yeah, we've tried it. Drew actually does most of our social media anymore. I don't post much anymore, and we actually hired somebody. But he was a millennial.
Yeah,
he didn't talk like I did. He didn't just his language on social media. It's like I would have never said that like that.
Yeah,
So it is tough, but we are actually working on somebody. We've grown to the point where I can no longer be all to all. I've got to focus on making sure my number one job at RTech Fabrications. Because if you think I'm building these things myself, I'm not. Now I do have some projects that that I don't delegate to other people. But by and large, I've got to make sure that the quality is being done, and it's being done efficiently. Because I love what we're doing. It's incredibly. We build really neat trucks, but at the end of the day, I'm a business, and I've got to stay profitable.
Mm-hmm.
And there's you ask anybody, even Dave, any top tier shop is going to tell you that it's hard to maintain the highest quality. It's a full-time job because you have a very interesting labor force, and that's a very big struggle in this industry. It's taken a lot of the shops out.
It's probably the biggest struggle.
It is. You talk to, Legacy, Icon, we're all, I think, the same people in the sense that we love what we do. We great pride in what we do, and we don't want anything but the best because it reflects on us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the biggest struggle I think people like me, or any of the other top tiers, is our employees are representing my reputation and my character. It's really funny. Whatever goes wrong with a truck, first off, I didn't do it, but one of my employees did. But they don't go after my employees.
No, it's you.
Me.
That's what's funny about like GM and Ford, right?
Yeah.
GM and Ford are so big. If something's wrong, they don't say it's Randall. But because you're a small production in comparison to a manufacturer like that, they know that it's Randall. Randall did it. Randall did it. And you're still at that stage where whether it's Dave, another guy you need to meet is Sick Chops if you haven't, Scott Layton. He won the Best on Roadster Shop last night. He's out of Phoenix. He's out of Lake Havasu. He just moved down to Cave Creek from Lake Havasu.
Yeah.
There's a few off the air. We'll tell you. What is it? Overcast. He did that like the Duke. He did not the Duke, like the Dino. He was here 2-3 years ago with the Blazer. That's right. So he built that. He is another guy that you guys should talk, because he's in that same level as Kindig. I really would say he is.
Okay.
But let's jump into so the Ponderosa, just like the Duke. And for the audience, the Duke is still probably my favorite all-time vehicle. If I could have one vehicle, it would probably be the Duke. I might go with orange and white versus the ochre and white, but obviously Yellowstone, I like ochre and white. But it's always been my favorite. I love that thing. And, and it's just one of those things where the 12 valve, even then the 12 valve, the way you did the plaid, the way you did all that, then you went to the Ponderosa. And back then, you had a few builds, and now with the K50, you bring out the big Blazer. It's even longer than a Blazer.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about this. The audience about this Blazer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a SEMA 2019 SEMA Crunch Blazer. It has a lot of lineage to the Duke.
Hey guys, I've been buying my truck parts from brotherstrucks.com for over 20 years now. These guys just aren't selling parts. They build trucks. They have their own trucks. They attend shows. They're part of our community. I saw Jim Flanders at C10s in the Park in Texas, and also at Dino's Get Down out here in Arizona. And that's why I continue to buy my parts from Brothers. One thing I remember Jim Flanders saying when I interviewed him for the podcast: when we buy parts, we buy the best parts possible so that you, the consumer, will get the best parts possible. Sure, they have the opportunity to buy a lesser made, lesser quality part, but they know that it's going to you, the C10 Nation. So when you buy your parts from brotherstrucks.com, rest assured you're getting the best part possible. So when you're looking to restore your 1947 through 87 Chevy or GMC truck, go to brotherstrucks.com. That's brotherstrucks.com. So you bought a C10 and it either had AC at one time or it wasn't even an option. Well, Vintage Air has the solution for you. Their SureFit kits are designed to place the evaporator and hoses behind the dash for a factory clean look. In most cases, the SureFit systems will be controlled by your stock dash controls using their exclusive cable converters. In some applications, a new factory look control panel is included with the kit. The SureFit systems provide full OEM style operations, including air conditioning, floor or vent heating, and a powerful defroster. To retain a true factory look, the AC air exits through the factory dash louvers if originally equipped in your truck. The Gen 4 kit provides infinite, just right temperature, air blending, and blower fan speed adjustments. The Vintage Air SureFit kits are the best value and the most completely engineered air conditioning system you can install in your C10. Add the fact that Vintage Air has been the most respected name in performance aftermarket climate control systems for 40 years. 40 years? Damn, son. The choice is obvious. VintageAir.com.
Yeah, let me tell you. First off, your favorite truck. Take a picture because it's about to change again. You know, we've gone through and we've done the big, 4-link front suspension in the rear, the 1,000 horsepower Cummins, and boy, it's amazing how fast 9,500 pounds can get going down the road with that kind of torque. But we're changing it again. We're going to be taking the bed off of it, and we're going to be basically building an overland truck out of that truck. And it is, we're teaming up with, Lund Industries, and they're going to be helping us with a lot of the product on that. And I'm going to be doing a bunch of designing. But when we get done with that truck, it is going to be a mammoth overland vehicle. We are going to change the color. I think that, like anybody, you have something long enough, you kind of want to change it somehow. The color, I love the color, and that color is so popular, believe it or not. We have 4 other trucks that we're building. Well, the Blazer's one of them.
Yeah.
They've ordered the identical color, the identical interior, because it's just, they love it.
Yeah,
the recipe, not that we don't
it's a
build,
good recipe.
Oh, yeah. We do the Highlander and every Highlander available, and we can get them all. And we do different colors. However, I will tell you, I'm happy that I'm in a place now where I can tell somebody I'm not willing to do the job if it means I have to do this. And one thing that I do not do is I do not change any truck that we build from the ground up. One of our crew cabs, it is an original color for the year, or I'm not doing it.
Why is that?
Because I want the truck to look like GM made it.
Okay.
It's not that I'm trying to copy GM or anything. I just love what GM did, the character of the truck they built. I'm just doing what they didn't. I still love the fact that people, when you do an original color, it lends to them, to people being confused as to whether they really made one. Now, granted, they didn't make chrome for a crew cab, or this Blazer out here. And, that's a problem because I have to still make it look like GM did it, but nobody even makes chrome for a crew cab or a K50 Blazer.
Yeah.
So, when we had earlier talked about this, and I've actually talked to Dino about it. Dino is somebody that he's one of very few people. As a matter of fact, he's probably the only person he's the first phone call I make when I want to bounce an idea off of him. I have a great deal of respect for Dino. And one of the things that we've recently spoke about, and I'm in the process of doing for both the 6456 and the 69 through 72, is I'm going to be producing billet chrome moldings, the 2 that go down the side of the truck.
Mm-hmm.
And because you can't get that stuff on the truck. I have a hard time even getting it to my shop without it getting somehow damaged.
Well, so if you make it, then you're going to make, because you can make your own versions
lengths,
to fit the lengths.
Yeah. We're
like
having
with the K50 Blazer.
Yeah.
For the audience, the
That
K50 Blazer is not a normal tub. It's an extended tub. It's almost like it's a full truck tub. That's that long.
The only part of that Blazer that is actually a Blazer is the part that's at the top of the windshield. The rest of it, it's various parts of a 67 to 72 truck.
Yeah. So would you say that from the B post or the back of the door, it is 8 foot long to the bedside, or how long is that?
I hate to tell you this, but
bed?
I don't recall. I think we actually took a few inches off of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that would make sense based upon the trim that we just talked about, fitting the length that you needed.
Exactly.
Okay.
I didn't design the truck to use certain parts, and so it had to be this.
Mm-hmm.
I designed the truck because, first off, a 50 series anything, the front axle is closer to the door by 7.5 inches. So right there, you have a Blazer that's already a short wheelbase, and you take 7.5 inches off, and it's now no longer even reasonable to build it. So, this Blazer, and I wish I could tell you the numbers. There's just too many in my head at this point. But the Blazer, I want to say, is 2 feet longer wheelbase than a standard K5 Blazer. But it also sits on 40s. It is nearly 8 feet tall. The length, in my opinion, and that's the customer that owns that truck, is just, when he finally got to see it for the first time other than pictures, he was just floored.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe it. The proportions. He said, Randall, I wondered if the bed was going to be too long. He said, well, I'm standing here looking at this, and everything, the proportions are perfect for what this truck is and how big it is.
And if you for the audience, if you put a standard Blazer on that big, it would look like a stomper. It would look like a Matchbox car. It looks proportionately correct when you look at it and you stand there, not just in pictures, especially because I don't think the audience does. And you mentioned this. You are going to be the go-to specialist on a C50 front. That front is, if you think about looking for the fenders, those fenders morph right into the firewall, whereas completely different than a normal C10, C20.
Yeah, the Duke was actually built from a K30 platform that I had in inventory, and I just didn't want to wait, to do a 50 series. But we do actually build our 50 series anything with a 50 series cab. We take obviously the back part off because that's a small window, and we don't do anything small window. On a crew cab, that becomes a porthole.
Yeah.
So, but we do build them on the 50 series frames too.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
And the Blazer is huge. I mean, the chassis, like he says, the frame. You've got it coiled over.
Yeah.
You've got 4-link. So this is like
I don't know if you remember, because I think we talked about this. I was getting a lot of flack from people. When are you going to come into the 21st century and actually put coilovers on it? And my initial, I'm old school and I know what works, but I'm really slow to go into something different unless I know it's better.
Mm-hmm.
And initially, I just thought that leaf springs were the way to go. And I finally got to a point where, these 50 series, I can build a 4-link, and believe me, my 4-link front suspension, if you look, and even the axles, the parts that we, mold into that, and those are all handmade. They're huge. It is truly 50 series front 4-link front suspension. But unlike a lot of guys that are building these 4-link trucks, when I deliver a truck to somebody, I'm delivering something that I know their kids are going to be in the back, and I know it has to be able to tow well. It has to be able to. It's got to be safe.
Mm-hmm. So how is the ride? We got the red light coming, so we'll take it about. We'll see if we can get another 5 in here. How have you guys, somewhat from an R&D on the coilover, based upon the old school Leaf? How are you liking and loving that coilover?
Well, we'll only do the coilover in the front on a tow vehicle, but the Blazer's not a tow vehicle. But that thing, I drove it over from Nellis over to the SEMA show, and I was just so happy with, the roads here are not great. You'd go through these intersections, and on a 4-link front and rear anything, they're going to bounce all over the place. Man, this thing took it, and it immediately, as soon as you went through it, very smooth. It was just smooth. It didn't act like an off-road 4-link vehicle. There's some things I did that I felt need to be done in my design for a street vehicle. Could still go off-road, but let's face it, most of the people that buy my stuff, they're tow vehicles, or they're stuff that they're just really cool, but they're driving it on the highway.
Yeah.
And you can't take a 4-link front and rear anything on the highway and you got to react to something, it isn't going to handle well. However, the way that I'm designing my suspensions, it's more around day-to-day safe driving for a long time.
So what will we see out of the Blazer in the next 6 months, the next year? I don't assume that the owner's going to get it. You probably got some tweaking to do, and then a lot of media. I mean, I want to see this thing out in the dunes. I want to see it, doing some good action shots.
It starts tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got a few photo shoots, to do, but the owner. It's really interesting. The owner of this particular truck, we're actually building him a couple trucks, and we've become friends, and I have a great deal of I don't let a whole bunch of people into my inner circle, okay? But he's one of those guys that I could talk to him even about my business,
good,
because he's a business owner also. But he said, Randall, I want you to show this for a while. We only have a couple things left to do to it. It doesn't have a top on it right now.
Will it have a top?
Yep.
All right. You're going to make a custom top?
Yeah, we're going to do a rag top for it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a multiple piece. But we're also building the hard top for it. We're having a hard time getting a single wall additional donor top to do it. But even the top has got to be redesigned because it's so much longer.
Oh, for sure.
It almost looks like a camper shell. I have to actually shorten the windows, which means I got to...
That's going to be a tough one. What's next in the next 5-year plan for you guys? What's on the docket? What are we going to look for and coming out of RTech Fab?
Well, at this point, we just have so many. The 6-door is man, that's a neat truck. I swore I'd never do one. He talked me into it, but it had to be done my way, and it's that truck is unbelievable for 6 doors to work. Trust me, it's a tank.
Yeah.
We really don't make trucks that are really all that light.
Will that have a shorter bed then?
Yeah, he wanted, in spite of the fact it's a 6-door, he wants it as short as I can make it, but still be able to tow his gooseneck horse trailer, or actually it's a cattle trailer, and his gooseneck something else. So there's that truck, and it's really a neat truck in itself. But the brother to the gentleman I've built this Blazer and another truck for, we're building him a 50 Series, and I know you've seen the renderings, a 50 Series Suburban 4-door.
Yeah.
And that'll
be fun.
750 horsepower, supercharged, 427. It is going to be unreal.
So you did the Ponderosa, which means you're in the 60 to 66 series. Obviously, your specialty is really the 67 to 72. Will you do any other Dodge, Ford, square body stuff? Do you have any of that on the docket, or are you kind of staying right there for now?
We're doing an extended, a 4-door extended. So it's 4 doors and even further, it's 2 foot longer than that.
So like a mega cab.
Yeah, for I don't know if you know who the Man Spot is on social media.
Oh yeah. That's the fire truck.
Vaughn, yeah.
Yeah.
So that one there.
And that's a square
body.
Yeah.
I don't really like to work on square bodies just because there's enough guys out there that can work on square bodies.
Yeah.
And it's not my forte. But there's a couple guys that have, hey, would you do this for me anyway?
Mm-hmm.
And sure. So, there's that. We've got, the 6x6 we're building. I will give you just this much of a hint.
Teaser.
Yep. Randall is going to be designing a 65 6x6 50 series. Promise you it'll be badass.
You don't have to promise us. We know that is. So we're on the stage, and they booked these out. So we're gonna wrap it up. It's always a pleasure. I know one thing that I had in my thought was the TV show. I'm assuming that came and went, and probably not worth your time in the drama, because that would only get in the way.
Yeah, I've been offered a TV show now 3 or 4 times now. And, it's really nice for your ego, but and some people can pull it off.
Yeah.
My customers would definitely suffer for it.
Okay.
And I just, I'm into building the trucks. I don't want to be the TV show. I don't watch them.
Well, and honestly, you're it's working. So,
Yeah.
You've got more work that you can handle
Yeah.
at this point. Randall, always a pleasure to catch up with you. A big fan. And I would say that, we just wish you more luck and more awesome labor so that you can keep building these rad trucks because we enjoy them from my perspective. For the audience, if you don't already follow him, you should. RTech Fabrication on social media and check out what they're doing. Thanks, Randall.
See you at Dino's.
Yeah, we'll be down there.
Right.
Thanks, brother.
That's all, folks.